Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Vetting America episode 21. I'm your host, Adam T. Cummings, and today's show features former Staff Sergeant Erik Maltais, who served in the United States Marine Corps from the years of 2004 to 2009. Thank you so much for coming on the show,
Thank you for having
Erik.
me. I really appreciate it.
This afternoon, we'll be discussing a little bit about leadership, transition, vetrepreneurship, and mindset overhaul. I'm honored to have you all on this beautiful day in downtown Tampa at the Attic Cafe. Please share this video. Please like, and to any veteran you think could benefit from obtaining this wisdom that this man is about to bestow on us, please send it to them. Share it, like it. I really appreciate your support. Before we get going, I'd like to make a quick shout out to our sponsors, which you can view below, and of course the incredible Attic Cafe, which I already announced before. So Erik, let's get right into it then.
Let's do it.
You ready?
I like that.
All right.
That's how we know you're a Marine.
Oh,
Always
yeah.
about it. Get to
Let's
business.
just get into
Action.
it, man, because I got to speak with you yesterday on the phone, and we talked about 15 minutes. It ended up being 45 minutes because it's Marines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Give us
the first 15 minutes of hoorah, and then the next 15
hoorah. All right, so brief synopsis of where you are now, like company position, vision. I just want to, for the people that
it's a pretty brief. That's a big thing to be a brief synopsis, but essentially, we have a fully immersive 3D live streaming platform that we've created. My partner is a full stack developer with 10 years in automation and telecommunications. And our idea or concept or vision was that VR was going to be more than escaping. It was going to be more than video games and other type of those where you put it on and it scares you and all these other types of things. It was going to be a way to connect realities, where to basically disrupt a lot of different industries. And so we built out the technology in order to do that. And our first use case that we got into was medical device,
What's the name of the company?
Immersive Tech.
Immersive Tech. And what's the website, real quick, for people at home?
www.immertech.com.
Okay. And so, tell us a little bit about what you do in the company and how you ended up finding. You said you have your friend. You have to build.
Yeah, so I'm the CEO. After my tenure in the Marine Corps, I went to USF here in St. Pete, and I got a degree in accounting and economics. Yeah. I love accounting, even though I would never want to be an accountant. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. So I got on a plane, flew to China. I had already done President Bush's security in the Olympics in 2008 while I was in the Marine Corps, and so I was familiar with China in the area. But I knew that I wanted to start a private label brand and bring it back. And I focused on products that I didn't need to educate people on, that were already out there that people knew. So barbecue is the industry that I grabbed onto. It's a big market, and I just used reviews from other products that were on the internet, areas where other competitors were not taking advantage of the actual input that was publicly provided for everyone. And I just compiled all the positives and negatives, went there and found brought back a great catalog of products, and I took that from a $4,000 investment to 7 figures in sales in 2 years. And then I sold that company to a Canadian company because using accounting really helps when you have good numbers and you can actually show a growth trend. So I definitely recommend that to anyone who's trying to be an entrepreneur. It's really important to start with and track your progress, because otherwise you can't really analyze it and do anything. So I leveraged that, and from that, at that point, I just was giving advice and help to a lot of different people for fun, because I really enjoy everything entrepreneurial. And one day, someone that I had helped really double his business and kind of just start taking action instead of constantly learning, he had a great friend from Tarpon Springs. He said, "You got to meet this guy. He's building a technology in VR." And at first I thought it was a headset, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go give this guy advice to stop doing it. Right? Yeah. Because a headset and the hardware components is not something you want to be involved in, because that takes a lot of capital, and it's something that's very laborsome, and the big companies they're the ones who are going to do that, right? Like you see Oculus, after they Facebook purchased them after they only did $7 million in sales for $2 billion. I mean, the amount of money that he's trying to invest in that to make that not show up as a mistake, you're not going to beat them.
Yes.
But I was really happy to find that he was a software developer and a software engineer, and he had a vision for, as I spoke, for connecting people and using his experience in telecommunications in order to do that. But more importantly, this guy is an amazing entrepreneur and wonderful communication skills. I mean,
that's big for a developer.
It's for a developer, it's really rare, right? Because I've met a lot of developers, really smart guys, built some cool tech, and they've asked me, hey, let's partner. But when this guy asked me to partner with him, I really considered. Well, obviously, I took the opportunity, right? Because I knew that he had something unique. You know, he had the right mindset. He had the hacker mentality. He can make anything happen. He can focus for 18 to 20 hours straight. I've never met anyone like this. And write 20, 30,000 lines of code fixing a problem.
All natural.
All natural, right?
He's made for it.
He's made for that purpose. Yes. But what he didn't have, which was that he was the type of person who will build for 20 hours a day for 6 months and not put himself out in the world.
Yep.
Right, which is because
he's behind the computer.
Because he's behind the computer, right? And so from there, after I met him, you know, I'd helped him kind of understand the business model, and with no expectations, just doing it because I appreciated him and I appreciated what he was doing.
Okay.
And then he asked me to partner with him and be his co-founder. And from there, I got us the debut of our technology at Facebook headquarters in Menlo Park. And then I raised funds for us in order to be able to get to the next step. I got us law firm Perkins Coie, which is the law firm for Amazon.com, Airbnb, Dropbox, in order to give us a deal in exchange for 0.5% option in our company, where they do all of our legal and do all of our patents and set everything up for us. We're created a Delaware C Corp, Silicon Valley Bank, and then I got us we got us, right? But I'm saying,
well, yeah, that's your job.
Leveraging the amazing technology that he built and just getting out there in front of the world and
while he's coding,
celebrating all the no's I can get. Like getting doors slammed in my face, right? Doing extremely crazy things to try to get people to listen to me for a moment, and then leveraging that moment, right? Because that's all you really get. You get that one. You got 30 seconds to prove yourself to somebody when you meet them, and it's like that balance between cockiness and confidence, and it's like, which I think Marine Corps was really good to help that. And it's like, yeah, you know, and that got us a lot of good opportunities. And now we have a pilot program with the second largest medical device company on the planet.
Cool. That's so cool, man.
And as of I was telling you earlier, actually yesterday I just left Cleveland Clinic, which is the best medical facilities in the world.
Okay.
Tell
us about this big win you had yesterday.
Yeah, so it was pretty amazing. This is the reason why I'm an entrepreneur. So yesterday was a make or break day. It was one of those days where you're either going to go back to ground one because you lost like some strong footing, or you're going to have this position and be able to launch forward with it. And what I mean by that is that we had to perform for the first time, like in publicly. Like we told them, we made claims that what we were going to be able to do for them, and they asked, and so we came to the table today, and yesterday, and we did the first fully immersive 3D live surgical training ever to happen, right, in 3D in real time.
Without post-production, which is
so that's an important aspect that most people don't understand. So like, what's special about what we do and what our technology is? There's 3D. It's been around for years. I mean, they put the little corny glasses on, and you watch the movie, and you're feeling dizzy. Well, that stuff's been around for a while, but in order to create that content, you need a lot of special software. Okay. It takes a very special editor, right? It's not just like you could, in Tampa Bay, put top 10 videographers, get them to come here right now, and I'll offer them $1,000 an hour to sit down and to edit 1 minute of 3D VR content. They would say no, because they don't know how to do it, because it's someone beyond that level of just the traditional videographer. And so what our technology does is it does that all in real time, right? And it does it in less than 200 milliseconds of latency. So we do that on the hardware side, and then we deliver that peer-to-peer. So no servers, no transcoding. And so yesterday we did that where in Baylor Surgical Center, there was an ENT, Dr. Dean. He was teaching a balloon eustachian tube dilation system. Okay. Do you know what eustachian dysfunction is?
No.
Probably not. I'm assuming most people are not, so I'll explain to you. When you're on a plane, right, and you feel that feeling in your ear, that pop, well, that's because the pilot didn't regulate the pressure, right? So what happens is your eustachian tube collapses, right? Okay. And so some people, when they get older, they say, wow, I feel this pain like I'm in a plane, and they go to a doctor. They say, primary care doctor, hey, I'm feeling this pain, what should I do? And the doctor says, well, unfortunately, this is a part of getting old. You just got to deal with it. try taking here's some Motrin,
like 800 milligrams.
800 milligrams of Motrin in water.
Oh God.
But yeah, so then that was what they were doing until recently. A company which I can't name came out with a medical device that went through FDA that is a solution, which is basically a very thin wire that has a balloon on the inside, and it's essentially inserted in, and then it blows up and it expands that, and it permanently expands it. And now it's actually a big deal, because before this, doctors, when someone would have this eustachian tube disorder dysfunction, they would actually tell doctors, don't try to fix it because you can kill someone.
Yes, true.
Because there's the blood, and then you will have cerebral bleeding, and it could cause a serious issue. So it was a big deal. And so there's about 3,000 doctors over the next 3 years that this company was trying to train. And so yesterday we did the first training where we trained a doctor at Cleveland Clinic, at Biloxi, and then at the main headquarters in California for this medical device company.
And you had to take a little bit of your Marine Corps training and adapt and overcome for this.
Yeah, it was actually kind of funny, because the company is the actual hospital network. It's almost like being in the military, where you're dealing with some really inefficiencies and no one wants to make a decision. So so we get there and they tell us to perform, but at the same time they tell us
we don't have the infrastructure for it.
They're like, here's the internet, and it's actually dial-up. Ding, 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 ding. So it's less than
2018, and they're a world-leading hospital.
1 meg upload, 1 meg download, and then so they say, well, can we put the internet on? We had postponed once, right? And so because we're like, you need to put internet, we're thinking let's postpone for 3 weeks. And then so we called in after 3 weeks to see where the internet was, and they said, well, we're going to get the internet. It's coming in September. But you still need to follow up on the second one, because we're not going to give a third chance. So, well, if there's no internet, I don't know if you noticed, we're an internet company. we require...
This is kind of a necessary part of it.
We require internet,
yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so we had to go and get multiple hotspot routers and actually set them up in Windows and duct tape them and run splitters and everything. It was quite the challenge to overcome it, and we were able to do it as a group, and and control.
It's a big team building, right? Team builder right there too.
Oh yeah.
Because that was probably your first real big, like you said, your first real big break moment, where if you don't step up...
It was a make or break moment.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't have give up, because that's the thing, we don't give up. So we would have started back, kind of almost at scrap one, like, hey, who are we going to get now?
Yes.
To give us a second chance, right? But instead, we overpassed. I mean, we came past.
For Gumby.
Yep.
Always flexible.
Always flexible.
All right, I want to get into, because that's an amazing story. Your company's amazing. That's why I really wanted you on the show. I haven't had a veteran on our show yet that has been at this level of entrepreneurship, where you're.
I feel honored.
Yes, no, but you're
getting
to that point where things, this is going to be taken off, and you proved that yesterday, and that's very incredible. But I really still want to know about, what was it like for you in the Marine Corps, man? You're a ground pounder out here already, so I can only imagine what your Marine Corps career was like. So let's talk a little bit about that, Staff Sergeant.
My time in the Marine Corps was quite interesting too, because I find that there's 3 reasons why people join the Marine Corps. I'm sure you could probably tell them yourself, right? We talked about this yesterday, and it's like, either you're trying to prove something to yourself and to the world, right? You're trying to escape something, right? Or you played with exactly. Or you played with with GI Joes, and you're just like gung ho.
I want to go to war.
Everything, exactly.
Yeah.
That was the 3 that I knew. Right.
You have to be kind of crazy to go in the Marine Corps.
Exactly. And so in my situation is that I come from a single mother worked 3-4 jobs really. First generation.
That's where you learn the work ethic from.
Yeah, first generation Latino. Things were not easy growing up, but that was like a fuel for me, understanding like there's other things out there that I really got to push myself past and not accept limitations. And so I kind of had that mindset. I feel like that's another thing I noticed about the Marine Corps. I think Marines are made when you go to all the other recruiters, right? You go to the Air Force, you go to and they tell you basically, oh, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, we're going to give you that, right? But then when you go, it takes a certain type of person to go to the Marine Corps, and they tell you like, we're not going to give you anything. Who knows you can even be a Marine, right?
It's so true.
Like, how many pull-ups can you do, fatty? That's
exactly. Here's an equal sign.
Exactly. And so like it takes a certain type of person who wants that in their life and invites that into their life and chooses that. And so I could really appreciate that segment of it. So anyway, that was what attracted to me. So I joined, and then I was the one with like I said, with the problems, trying to figure it out and trying to escape a little bit. And I get in, I go through training, everything was great, and then I wanted to go to college. And first thing I get was, hey, you're a boot. You haven't done anything. You haven't been to Iraq. Learn your job for 2 years, and then you can go to college. And I was like, that's not acceptable.
I don't like the way that sounds.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
And so I said that I want to volunteer to go to Iraq. So I went from being supply administration, so like for 1 month. That was my MOS. Only did it for 1 month. Yeah. And then I went to becoming a Mark 19 gunner in a 6-vehicle convoy. Did 11,000 miles in 9 months in personal security detail for a colonel who was in charge of training, basing, and equipping the Iraqi National Guard, the police, the border patrol. During that time in 2005 when that was happening, and we were based out of Fallujah, but we did Ramadi, Al-Assad, Baghdad, the whole Al-Anbar province. And so it was a really interesting experience. We had multiple instances of combat. It was definitely character building. And then from there, I knew that I was like, okay, I want to do some other stuff. So I leveraged that, and the colonel wrote basically those letter recommendations where it's like, this guy chews nails, right?
Chews nails,
right?
Spits bubble gum,
right? Catches bullets in his hands and throws them back, right? And so I leveraged that in order to go after MSG, so embassy duty.
Yep.
And so
everybody wanted it.
Everybody,
you can get it.
Yeah, and the attrition rate was ridiculous. You go to Quantico and you're training right next to the Marine officers, the CIA, the FBI. All of them are trained on Quantico, and they call it American Embassy 1, first embassy. And there's like 100 people in the class, only 20 graduated. Yeah, and so it was definitely a difficult thing. And in the end, they do the like military grade mace where and then you got to go through the conference course and fight it all. I'm like, what does this have to do? Why am I doing that? but
okay.
Yeah, okay.
We're here.
But we can do this.
Yes.
And so I went there and I got to go. My first post was Skopje, Macedonia, right above Greece.
Okay.
And then Bangkok, Thailand. And then exactly. I was fortunate in Skopje because in Skopje I came in and you know how they give you a job. They gave me MWR, and so which is Marine Welfare, right? And so I had to set up all these events and do all these things. So I did all the.
That's actually like some really good knowledge and experience.
It is. It's almost like running a business, and that's what it was. And so I had realized that I get in there, I'm like, they're not even doing like an accounting system. They had it on like these journals, and so I created this whole thing.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I went
everything.
And then
systems. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so they made it a global standard for all Marines doing embassy duty.
Okay,
and so because of that, they're like, where post you want to go to? And so actually, which is ironic, I picked Thailand, but I picked Thailand because I was like, which one has a university on campus that you can take classes? And the only embassy that actually had a university at the embassy
was the place where you would party the hardest.
Which is the place where I party. So party the hardest, but made the hardest to study.
Yeah.
So
I'm just hey professor, I'm just not even gonna come to this class today.
Yeah, it's like I don't know about it. Yeah, no, but it worked out. It was good and so I was able to do class time, and then from there I went to Asuncion, Paraguay. And then periodically, I did President Bush's security in the Olympics in 2008 in China, and Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, meeting with Zarqawi, and in Berlin, Germany. And so, I mean, I was very fortunate that I got to do a lot of really cool things. And then I find the Marine Corps, I'm sure you probably can relate to this, is that you can get anything you want.
As you ask.
As you ask. As you ask 7 times.
All the time until they're so annoyed with you.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's what I learned, though, was I wanted to go to Afghanistan. I wanted all my qualifications. I wanted my certifications. I wanted my weld qual. I wanted everything. And every single day, you couldn't outwork me. There was no one that worked harder than I did. I wasn't always the best, but there was no one that worked harder.
Same here. It's not about being the best.
A for effort, right?
Yeah.
Or E for effort, or whatever it is.
As long as you can do 20 pull-ups. There's no acceptable. No acceptable.
No, if you do 20 pull-ups, okay, and you work hard enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Every day I'd go into my sergeant's office and I would ask, can I go? Can I go? Can I go? Coming, just shut up already, please, and it's truly what it is. And so for here, in the life I've created over the last year for myself out here, I get everything I want because I have no shame anymore. I don't have any pride or ego. I ask everybody for, hey, can you help me with this? Or, can you connect me with this person? Or what can I do to bring you value as well? It's like it's that give and take. Is as long as you're bringing value to people, and then at the same time seizing those opportunities that they're giving you, man, you can create the life that you've ever dreamed of. You just got to ask.
You get to ask a lot. And actually, that reminds me, MSG. Like, I got that letter of recommendation. That definitely helped me. But the thing about MSG is it's very exclusive. It's the most exclusive duty in all of the Marine Corps as far as like what they expect for you to get in, because you're representing America. I mean, to put it into perspective, when I was in Skopje, Macedonia, even in Asuncion, the same. There's only 5 Marines in the entire country. So there's 5 Marines that are like us.
What does that make you feel like?
Sergeant and below her.
5. I remember being the only Marine on some like Navy bases, and I'm like, yeah.
It's good for the Marine Ball because you're at the Marine Ball, big party. It's supposed to be a bunch about celebrating Marines, and there's 5 of us, and everyone else is like diplomats and embassies, and we're giving all the tickets and stuff. Yeah, the CIA would come and buy like 100 tickets at the same time, and they're like, you need to give them to this person, to these people. So there's like big people that are coming to these events, and they're all celebrating you. So it was pretty cool.
While you're serving them, you're being voluntold for your party to serve the diplomats. The party's meant for you.
Yeah,
Marine Corps way.
Marine Corps way. But I wasn't going to get in. I got rejected. I'd probably say 40 times, and the reason why is because there's only 5 of you, right? And then there's 5 of you, and there's 1 deck commander, right? Who's the staff sergeant.
Yes.
So that staff NCO, by the way, is the only non-commissioned officer who's given a command, yes. Right? He's actually a commander in every branch. There's no other branch that gives a non-commissioned officer an actual command, actual permanent command. They give them sometimes where they can augment a command, but so that's very prestigious. But the point is that because of that, then you need to be beyond reproach. You can't have any issues, and they want to make sure. So because I got in trouble a lot and I had a criminal record, typically you can't get in. I'm actually the person with nothing crazy, but a lot of stuff when I was a kid, you know. And you know how the Marine Corps is. Anytime that you've ever been talked to by the police and there's a report on it, then you're guilty and you should go to hell.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, excuse my language.
Just don't raise your hand.
Yeah, exactly. And so what I did was like I got that report, and then I also went and got everything, and I from all the places that these things happen and all the reports, and then I also you have to get 3 people to write. As like recommendations, most people character references, and so most people put like their mom and their aunt and their uncle. I put the attorney prosecutor who prosecuted against me. I put the police commissioner who was involved in all the cases, and I put
smart.
Yeah, I put the principal of my school who had kicked me out, and so I put all these people. In
to show the transformation.
Correct, because it was a big deal. Because I mean, just to understand it, is that I dropped out of school at 13. I went to Europe for a year and just went around, and you know, there's a lot of things that kind of trying to figure it out, you know, and that's why I went into the Marine Corps, to kind of get that grounding. But so anyways, I had all this paperwork and did everything, and it was like, and I went every week, and I told the guy, and he's like, "Are you ever going to stop?"
No.
And I was like, "Look, what day is it? Okay. I got 3 years," because you know how you have the trackers in the Marine Corps? So I do. I was like, I've got 3 years, 76 days, and blah, blah, blah minutes, because we track everything like that. I was like, so at least I can tell you that much. That's how much more I'm going to come. And he finally said, he's like, okay, I'm going to let you go. You're going to go in the class. And you realize that you're the only person to ever have a record like this, or even to be considered for this. So most likely you're going to go to the board, and there's at the end of it, there's a board that you have to go, and it's someone from the State Department, someone from the White House, someone from the Marine Corps, general in the Marine Corps, and someone from the government, right? That they have to approve you, right? Because you're going to be representing the U.S.
That's it.
And there was a incident where a Marine embassy guard gave the secrets to the embassy in Russia to a girl. So it's a big story.
That's such a Marine thing to do.
Because of a girl, right?
Always, man.
So he gave all the plans. So anyways, so I said, yeah, that's fine. I'll do that. I'll go through the whole thing. I don't care. If I lose, at least I know I tried. Right? At least I know that I put myself out in the world and I got stomped down, but then I'll just move to find something else to get stomped down on. And so I went through the whole training, and I was scared, like really, really thinking, what are they going to ask me? Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to remember everything, because you don't remember the stuff you do when you're 13, 14, 15. You know, you're like, you're a little punk, right? And so, but I tried to just remember it and go through the scripts and be ready. And I get up there, and they only asked me, did you know that having this situation was going to make it difficult for you to pass this? I was like, yes. And they're like, why do you save some money? And they're like, why do you have this money saved, but you also have debt? Because they look at your debt. They look at all weird. Yeah. And then I was like, well, because I'm planning on investing in real estate, so I'm building my credit, and I'm going to buy some properties, right? And they're like, okay, you're accepted. And I was like, not one question. And to show you, kind of like give you a perfect example, one of my friends who was awesome, one of my best friends in the whole thing, we made it through all the training. He was like one of the last 40 before they go to the board, and usually about 50% of the people on the board don't make it through the board. Okay. He gets up there, and they ask, well, that's one of the first questions, like, why are you doing this? Or no. They asked him, what would you do for $1 million? Right? He said, anything.
Come on.
How are you going to say anything at the American embassy? Because you're basically saying I'll sell the secrets of the American embassy, even though he probably wouldn't have done that.
He would have done it for Klondike.
He just wasn't aware, and he just knew he was ambitious.
You have to be aware.
You have to be aware, and you have to understand what's
attention to details.
Attention to detail, and so then because of that, he went through the whole thing and he left, and that was unfortunate. I mean, you could have said something like, I had one guy that was funny. He's from Louisiana, and he used to tell me all these stories about how he would wrestle alligators and spin in the water with them when he was a kid, duct tape their mouth and like play with them. It was his pet. A big alligator in the pool. And then they asked him, like, why are you doing MSG? Why are you trying to do this? He's like, I want to go to Africa and I want to hunt the lion. Like, not I want to protect the country. I want honor and commitment, whatever. He's like, no, I'm honest. I just want a lion. And he got in, but you can't tell him that you'll do anything.
No, for anything for $1 million.
For $1 million.
So why'd you decide to get out?
So I got out because I noticed that the people that I joined, that I appreciated in the Marine Corps, they were all getting out because the Marine Corps is a great opportunity to build character, to understand what your limitations are, and to scale. But I feel that a lot of the people that stay in for a different reason than they got in. They stay in because they're not sure what they're going to do in life. They're not sure about the transition. And I think that's probably partly the Marine Corps not helping with that. I mean, they try to, but it's a difficult thing to do. And I think that it kind of, I saw the people that were staying in, and it just wasn't the same quality as that first core.
And what's funny about that is I completely agree with that. Mm-hmm. And I went in 2009. So you can only imagine how it just got even better. You got so much better after you got out. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, I can imagine. All those people and then they probably thought they were amazing and they were God's gift to earth, and then they were...
A bunch of yes men. Yeah. That was the biggest issue I saw while I was in, was that all of the gun-ho, rough and tough, all about the Marine Corps Marines were getting out because they weren't respected and looked up to and revered and treated the way that they used to be, just like you were. And then what we got left with was just a bunch of yes men and women who cared nothing but their careers. I had great OICs, but the people at the top, and then that, how that snowball effect comes down. Yeah. So it was real rough. It was really rough during the years I was in, especially because we were ramping up and then randomly cut 40,000 right at Marines. So we got to 208, cut 40,000 right away.
Wow.
And so Marines were getting DUIs every weekend. They were getting caught smoking weed. They were getting caught drinking and driving. I mean, there was suicide attempts all the time. Like, it was rough, man. And so it's cool to hear your story and why you got out, and to see that I wasn't wrong in my opinion of what I had seen too. Like, I felt as though the Marine Corps I had joined was no longer the Marine. Within a year or two, it was completely different.
Yeah, so it's crazy the change, and you see like all the second and third. It's like they're staying in because they don't know what to do with it, and that's. You got no choice. Like, insecurity, I feel like, and confidence in yourself, is people are like, it's like a question that they're trying to figure out. And the thing I think is, like, if you just think about it simply, like opportunity cost, the opportunity cost of not being able to make a decision for yourself, right, is too high.
I know. I just couldn't do it anymore.
And so, like,
too many green weenies, and I was done with it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But the reason why there's too many green weenies, and the reason why people get attacked and get this stuff, is because it's like people stay in to get payback. It's like, I took crap for 4 years. Now it's my turn to give 4 years of crap.
And you don't realize you're just getting bigger pieces.
And that's not making a decision for yourself. That's not stepping up and finding out what you want.
Absolutely.
Right? It's just like too much looking outwards and trying to think that you're going to associate, you're going to fix problems that.
So how was your transition? What were some of the trials and tribulations you faced?
So transition was challenging for me, right?
Oh yeah.
Because
I think it's challenging for a lot, especially
especially still now as a CEO. Let's say, I think as like when you're running things and you're trying to work, it's difficult. But then there again, you have to understand, it's like, how effective is my communication? Does it work to be, you lost your mind? Like, I knife hand people for a while. I knife hand people. You don't knife hand people. And then at the time, and then you come
out every once in a while. I'm just like, oh,
put that guy away. Let me holster that knife hand. Yeah.
I disassemble it.
A quick slip. And then my partners, I still sometimes were like, I'll do this, and he's like, you're doing the thing. I'm like, no, this is only one finger.
It's only, you gotta give me something.
Wait, you can't.
I can't point you with a pinky. Weird.
All right. Is that better? Does that make you feel more confident about, like, where you feel aggressive?
Yeah.
But even still, even without the knife hands and whatever, you know what I get still sometimes is like, you have too much conviction.
Yep. Passion.
Yeah, passion. Yep. And the problem with passion and conviction, so I want to say, I'm not going to be apologetic for being passionate and being and conviction and being strong character. Like, that's a part of who I am, right?
I actually tried
but guess what? Does it serve me?
No, it doesn't. And I tried to be something I thought society wanted me. I thought a lesser version, a little calmed down, a little cooler, and my light started going out, man, and like my passion and everything. So I had a mentor come up to me and tell me, he goes, because he's very observant, and without even having a conversation, he goes, Adam, let me tell you something. You're going to be a Marine until they put you in the ground, so you better embrace that shit. And I said, how do you even know? And he goes, I can see it. Yeah. And ever since that day, it was about 2 months ago, I've started embracing it more and more and finding that balance between being that cool, calm, collected civilian that I want to be and still have that gun-ho Marine that's just will jump down someone's throat any moment of the second. Having that little bit under the surface, having that balance, man, I'm laser focused now, and I don't get played as much. I don't get taken advantage as much because that's what was happening.
It does, and I think that, but I don't know if you've ever focused, I always, one thing that helped me a lot, and that might help any other military people that are doing transition or having something, is like, if you focus on the outcome before every conversation, then you can, it'll limit that. And what do I mean by that? Is that like, it's not about changing who you are. It's about accepting who you are and owning that and understanding that that's a strength, right? But then noticing, okay, my outcome in this meeting right now is to give direction and to go forward. So guess what? I can be convicted in doing this because I am the one responsible for the decision. But if my meeting that I'm about to have is to sit down with someone to talk about like social media strategy or a programming strategy, that's not a place of dominance and that doesn't serve me, that behavior. That's a place of openness and awareness and communication.
So it's understanding your audience.
So then I just do that thing where we don't like, where we have to feel like, okay, bring it down. I'm like, oh, and then I change everything, and then I just do one simple thing. I say, well, when I communicate in questions. Questions are not
game changer.
It's a game, changes everything.
Because I call it leading a horse to water and convincing it was their thought to drink.
To drink the water, yeah.
Absolutely.
Whereas before I'm like, drink some water because we got to go on a run.
Yeah. You're doing a finger thing, man.
See, get online, grab your water bottle.
So tell us, you dealt with some issues. How were you able to overcome them? How were you able to overcome? We get in our own way, especially as Marines.
Yeah.
We overthink everything and overanalyze, and all of a sudden we lose it. I have paralysis by analysis. That's something.
I'll tell you what I figured out. I'm just kidding. No, you still have it, but it's the awareness. Yes. I try. Like I set myself. I have a routine. I get up at 4 a.m. every morning. I do 2 hours of road bike. I do meditation. I very
game changer.
Like I do pull-ups. I do push-ups. I still do those things. Yep. I think that there's like, if you create these patterns, it's like I found that. There's a book that I recommend to anyone who wants. It's 20 Mile March. So it's on the concept about these two scientists who they were doing a study, and it was like, we're going to do 2 methods of getting to the North Pole from Northern America, right? One of them, every day, no matter the weather, and a group of people, and they were both similar fitness levels. There's a group of 10 people on each side. They were going to do 20 miles every day. And then on the other one, you had a group that was going to do as much as they could go on the good days, like as much as they could go. If 18 hours just walking,
steady. And
then if it's a bad weather day, they were going to stay in and they were going to relax and rest because they were on the concept of resting and rehabilitation and whatever. And so and trying to like be aware of this and that. So then they were going to go. Well, what happened was the group that was doing the rest and was like the really, really strong days, taking advantage of the good opportunities and trying to be, best strategy per se. And then the group that was just 20 miles, even if we can still go more, we stop and we go to bed. And then we wake up the next morning, and if it's a rainstorm, if it's a snowstorm, we're going another 20 miles, and then we can stop. They made it. And they proved that. And so when I read that book, it was like, wow, that's really, really cool. And so I started doing that. I said, what are my 20-mile marches? I don't even know what they are. It's like, I got these goals. I'm very good about setting goals and being ambitious, but like, what are those? Like, if you don't break it down to those things that you can do 20 miles each day, then you're not going to get there. And so I start by setting my routine and by doing that, and then that helps me get. And I do that also with the things like you're talking about, how with transition stuff is like, there's something I do in the morning where I write specific things about communication. Like every communication I receive is a communication of love and respect.
So
affirmations, or a communication, cry for help. So now when someone's flipping out at me, instead of doing the Marine Corps thing, which is like, you lost your mind talking to me like, instead I'm like, oh, is there something going on with you?
Yes. It's always a mirror, man. It's always a mirror. And I even had that this morning where something happened, and the woman came at me all hibbly-bibbly. I like to use hibbly-bibbly. And I came at her all hibbly-bibbly, and we were like hibbly-bibblying at each other. And then eventually we were able to just calm down, and we started talking about it a little bit. Again, there's knife hands. And eventually she's like, oh, I like your truck. And we just had a normal conversation, and we apologized to each other. We both had one of those weeks. I feel like everybody in the world had one of those weeks this week. It was just a very emotional, intense week. and you had it with your cap yesterday. I had a great day. So yeah, that's a really good piece of advice, because I've been studying how to become more productive. I'm very productive, but I always feel like I can become more efficient and effective in anything I do. So I was reading about
the patterns.
About the patterns, man. Consistency is key for me. I need structure. I need consistency. I've been living by the seat of my pants this last year to kind of give myself a little bit of freedom, but now I'm bringing my self-discipline back down. I'm bringing everything in, and I feel really good about it. So hearing you just motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing. So let's talk about Tampa. Why Tampa, man?
So it's interesting. After we went to San Francisco, like we were actually in Tampa. We found an investor and that was going to invest with us, and we had signed the term sheet. And this is a Marine thing. So in business, I realized it doesn't work the same way. You can't trust people like you can trust in the Marine Corps. Marine Corps, you say you're going to do something, I can be confident that you're going to do it, and I can march forward and start dominating. Well, what happened was, we got the term sheet signed, and it was going to fund us and get us going forward. And like, okay, check mark, that's all set. Let's get on a plane. Let's go to Japan. We went to Japan. We met with SoftBank. We met with a bunch of these companies earlier in the game, and we were ready to go forward. And then we had met with suppliers. We went to China to get production for the hardware component that we did need, although our IP and what our main technology is in the software, but there wasn't hardware, and I'm not going to wait for them to create it. And because of my experience in China previously, I was able to do that. And so the people that were doing the investments, like, oh shit, we have an opportunity here, right? Let's put the strings and try to change the deal last minute on them. So I came back here to Tampa, and I sat down with them. I said, okay, where's the subscription agreement? Let's go into the next steps. Let's formalize this relationship. We've got everything set up. Once this closes, then boom, we're off to the races. Okay. And they tried to come back and tried to steal more board seats, exert control. We found out later because they had a company that wanted to buy the technology and they wanted to sell the technology. This was really difficult for my partner, but I said, look, you can never focus on a carrot. Carrots don't exist, they're not real. You need to make decisions based on what's real and what's best for the company. So what was best for the company was for us to walk away from them. Yes. So in that meeting, I said, you know what? Just this situation in general shows there's no trust, and I can't be partners with anyone in a situation. So I walked away. My partner's flipping out. Like, shut up, sit down. What are you doing? It's no big deal. They just want board seats. No big deal. And so I booked the flight to San Francisco right on them. And then I've never even got a free meal as a veteran, right? Never, because I didn't care about that. I'm like, who cares? I can buy my own meal. And so, and plus it feels awkward when it's like, thank you for your service. And so
I bought your meal. You're like, oh, that's awkward.
Yeah, it's awkward. Exactly. It's like, but do I owe you anything? Is this a date? It's just like, right? So anyways, so I bought tickets San Francisco, and I get there and I started looking up everything veteran, like veteran this, veteran that, and I came across a company that was non-for-profit. It's like Vets in Tech, right? And met with some people there, and they were really awesome and helpful, and they kind of started helping us. And then I started knocking on other doors and everything. And I quickly started to realize something about San Francisco. San Francisco is the place where you go, right, after you've already established and you're at your Series A and you have a position of power, because otherwise, right, the VCs that are there and they set the terms. The employees that are there are expecting the world from you, right? Once you get a little bit established, then they're like, they want to work for you. When you're early on, they don't. Whereas I saw Tampa Bay, I've been here since 2009, right? There are a lot of talented people here. It's growing through the roof, right? It's a great place to start. And more importantly is like our success is not because of me. It's not even because of my partner. It's because of the culture that I create. And so that culture, it means a lot more to people in Tampa when you give them incentives, you give them options, which we give to all of our employees at this stage, options so they own the equity. So when they're building and they put in those extra hours and drive all the way to Biloxi, they know that in the end, they're going to get something out of it, right? And they're a part of this because you want that type of ownership to be a part of it. And so when you ask me why Tampa Bay, I think it's because not only is Tampa Bay up and coming, and Tampa Bay is a great community, and it's medical as our first use case, and this is a healthcare state, right? There's a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of people that are doing healthcare plays, and I feel like we can build a better culture here.
100%.
Now, one last thing I will state, unless someone's thinking, because it is important, I'd say try to build where you live, right? Always. If you live in Tampa and you love Tampa, build in Tampa. If your
connections,
your connections in your community, and it's really important. But I will say one thing is that it's also about having awareness about what your technology is too. And so, for instance, if you're building something that's very specific, very growth hacky, and your IP. Our IP is the fact that we have proprietary technology that we invented, that no one, my partner, not me, invented and built, that no one else, we can do something right now in the world that no one else can do, right? Like we did the first virtual surgical observation in 3D of a training, right?
Crazy.
So that is capitalizable, but then the rest of the efforts of sales, it's not like a B2C where it's about growth hacking and being the best marketer. If it's in that case, there are a lot of great marketers locally, but maybe then it would make sense to go somewhere like San Francisco because they're going to have the best talent when it comes to that. And connections.
Even higher level connections.
Exactly.
So what does being a vetpreneur mean to you?
That's a weird one because I never really think. I mean, I see myself as a veteran, as a Marine, as a person, as a son, as like entrepreneur, right? As a co-founder. All these titles, they all mean different things to me, but it doesn't necessarily, you know what I'm saying? As a Tampa Bay citizen, right? I consider myself, but as a first generation Latino, and so many, but I don't necessarily.
The only reason we've been, the term's been coined over the last year and a half, and I've immersed myself in the veteran entrepreneurial community down here in Tampa, and it's just changed my life. And for me, it's actually a sense of pride to be a veteran entrepreneur now. I
mean, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I see value in, I see that my tenure in the Marine Corps provide me with a lot of skills, then probably some that I'm not even aware of.
Oh, every day.
That help me in getting my things done that I need to, and I probably would be less capable entrepreneur if it wasn't for that. I just realize that it also requires me to step back from that too. It's like it's a weird thing, and that's why I say I try to separate it and say like, this is what when I'm going to be, if my mom comes to visit, I'm going to be the best son possible, and that's it, because I need to focus on what that role.
Mindful.
Yeah, and mindful, right? And so that's kind of why I was trying to separate. But I mean, if you asked me a different question and you said like, what are the things about me as a Marine or a veteran that makes me a better entrepreneur? I would say the fact that I'm not going to give up
ever,
and the fact that I'm okay with no's. Because that's a part of the game.
Yes,
you know.
So what have you done to overhaul your mindset over these last 9 years since you've been out?
I've done a lot. I did this, like the first thing I did was ironic because my brother paid for me to go to this thing called the Landmark Forum.
You're the third person that's told me about this. I have to go now.
You have to go.
Yes.
Right. I mean, it's a little bit culty, but not in this. I mean, they don't do.
I could say we're good at taking information and knowledge and taking the rest and throwing the rest out. So
yeah, correct. And if you can do that, then you can get a lot from it. And it's funny because you know why I went there? Because my brother had explained it to me, and you know how it's funny how we have something in our brain, the reticular activating system, and it kind of picks what we notice. The same reason why, like, if you had this shirt, you would probably have noticed, and be like, oh, I got that shirt. You see someone, and it's like, but you don't notice everyone else's shirt. Yeah. You know, you notice the one, or your car, like, oh, I had that same car in high school. And so that happened. So when my brother's talking to me and telling me all about this amazing thing about, you know, learning how to understand his emotions and how to be a better person and how to understand his strong suits and all this stuff that you get from Landmark, all I heard was, they put you up in front of everybody and they tear you apart. And that's a Marine thing, right? Like, great.
Count me in.
I'm
a masochist.
So I did that, and it was like really transformative, and it started me on a path of understanding. And then obviously there's a bunch of people out there. That's like, I was just talking to one of our employees today, Brian, that he's telling me about his grandfather that in the 1930s came from a really typical situation, and then he did all these great things, right? Like marathons and all this stuff, and he started a nonprofit organization and everything like that. But he came from a really, really bad situation. And I was thinking, you know, today you can come from a really bad situation, really difficult, deal with some strong trauma, and it's like, you can figure out the world by going to YouTube. Watch some Tony Robbins stuff and realize that like life is about what you do about it, not what happens to you, right? But back in the day, it's like you had to figure that out yourself. You had to like mind power it and be like, and come up to these things and learn them. And so it's like, that's really amazing. So I went out there and started accessing as much of that as possible. And I really think it is important if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a person. Because life is about relationships.
It's all it is, communication and relationships.
Communication and relationships. Understanding why you do things and analyzing your behaviors and knowing how to become a better person. But if you, I will say one comment. The most meaningful and impactful thing I've done so far as personal thing, and it's something that I think the Marine Corps had a lot to do with it, like something that helped me become a better veteran entrepreneur, as you say, is that there was a shaky period with my co-founder. My co-founder is not a veteran. His dad is actually, it's actually ironic, it's the opposite. His dad was a Marine, right? And you know how sometimes you learn in life.
That's why he's like, no knife hands.
Yeah.
No knife hand me.
I know the knife hands. I lived the knife hands. Yeah. And well, that's the thing. His dad was like that his whole life, and his mother was the opposite, and so he has a very strong communication skills, and he learned it all from his mom, and he learned what not to do by his dad. So he's always been like, that Marine stuff is not good. So at one point it became a problem in our relationship, and he was like thinking, you know, we're going to separate, right? And ineffective communication. And I was aware of it, and so I told myself, no, this is what we do, right? We say, no, we can't act this way because the relationship's important. I'm going to save it. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to be conscious about it. Yeah,
swallow a lot of ego on that one.
And just try to be better. You know, like, I'm going to think about it. I'm not going to flip out. I'm not going to get mad. And the thing that I was flipping out about is the details, right? Because I'm very much about the details. Everything has to be perfect, and you have to work really hard. Like, my work ethic that's one of my strong suits, right? Is that, and I don't give up. And so when I saw that he didn't have that in some things, and he does have a lot of things, and then little things, little details didn't matter.
They didn't align with you. Yeah.
Then I would, or even our employees. Then I would be like, boom, 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 boom. This needs to be like this. I'm the CEO. Let's do this, right? I got to have. I'm responsible.
Throw rank around.
Well, I'm saying it. I'm saying that to you. I didn't say that to him. I would never. I would never throw the rank around. But I'm saying, like, me. I'm the CEO. I'm responsible for this, so I can't let it go.
Okay.
And so then but it started to shake up our relationship, and I'm like, well, I'm losing affinity with my partner, which is way more important than the little details and stuff. And so the most important thing that I've learned about becoming a better person and becoming a better entrepreneur, just in general, was that I was never going to be able to stop treating people like that until I stopped treating myself like that. And that was literally the most beneficial thing that I've ever done. And I started to now be more compassionate with myself.
Compassion, man.
It was everything.
I got home, and I'd push a lot of tough love on the people that are closest to me. And I wouldn't be compassionate or sympathetic to that they're human beings too, and they have their own issues and their own insecurities and their own this and that. And it wasn't until I was starting to take it easy on myself and give myself a break for not being perfect, which nobody is, that I was able to start giving other people breaks. And from that, the relationship building aspect of my brand, career, whatever you want to call it, took off. And now everything I am is about relationship building. That's all I do. And because for me, I don't care so much about products and services as much as I care about people. So when I go and work with a company, I invest myself in the people of that company. I become friends with them. I care about what they're doing. I care about what they're building because they care about it. And because I focus more on the relationship aspect than the tangible aspect, I'm able to help pretty much anybody in any industry, in any vertical, because it's not about the product or service at the end of the day. It's about the company behind it, their morals, their ethos, and what they stand for. And for me, that's everything. It's a relationship.
Well, that's the culture.
Exactly. There you go.
Which is part of the reason why Tampa as well. Like I said, you just have more control. Success is about a product. It's about the founders. It's about so many things. But more importantly, it's about the culture that you create. And if you can get funded, you can have the best technology, you can have everything. But if you have the wrong culture, right, then you're going to fail. Right? And it's like, it's one of those things where you have to take a commitment to make that culture. Otherwise, it makes itself. And then you get kind of like the bro situation you have in the Marine Corps, where everyone's like the cool guys who could do 20 pull-ups are all together and whatever, and then everyone else feeling like they're pushed to the side, and it's like,
you can't do that.
But it's inefficient.
It is completely. Look, the whole military is inefficient. I don't know. I don't understand how it's so efficiently inefficient. It's just.
But it depends. It depends. There's some good things too, like the that you get from it. But you're right. I feel this. I feel like there was a lot of that, and I feel like, but in general, you're going to find that in most companies.
Yep.
So it's like we compare it to, like, because we see it as like it could be much more organized and strict, but again,
like grunting at things.
Yeah.
You know. All right, so we're about to wrap up the show, and I ask every one of my guests this one question because I think it's very important. If you could give one piece of advice, one sage piece of advice to a transitioning military member or a veteran in the midst of their transition that's struggling to really find their purpose, find their drive, and find what it is to make them happy out here, to create success for themselves, what would it be?
So I think that it's kind of probably two things, because I think that the message that I said earlier about treating yourself better, you're not going to be able to relate with civilians until you start, like, get the drill instructor out of you.
Embrace it. Yeah,
you got to get rid of the drill instructor that's inside of you before you're going to be able to have a meaningful, impactful relationships with other people, and that's what life's about. And then the second thing is like you got to focus on being aware. I recommend to a lot of veterans and stuff, and it sounds crazy or difficult for people, but I think meditation and trying to understand how...
Biggest proponent of meditation, man.
You have to, because you need that second. If you don't got that second...
And we're shallow breathers. like we're like Neanderthals, so the meditation helps you. Oh, well, I can think.
Yeah, and then if you have that 1 second to think, and so instead of give you one last example, because you gave us an example of a lady that, what did you call it? It was funny.
Hibbly bibbly.
Hibbly bibbly. So recently we had to fly to LA. This is about a week before this last thing on the 13th, right? Or yesterday. And this is when we found out that it was like it's over if you don't follow through, right? And so the surgeons are very unique people, right? They have very unique personalities, right? Kind of like Marines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very much like Marines.
Yeah.
And so this specific
one, they're brainwashed just like us.
Yeah, this specific one, we're in LA and we're meeting with our patent attorneys and their engineers, trying to go through our new IP, because we're constantly developing new IP so that we can have patent strategies going forward. And it's 3:30 a.m. and I get a phone call, right? And it's from this guy.
You're about to wake up. You're like, I get up at 4 and you're calling me at 3:30?
That's the thing, is that because of, and this will only happen because of the fact that I put in the work and I've got built in a level of awareness. But he calls me at 3:30 and I'm like, and Dr. Dean, and it's him, and he's like starting to yell or starting to be a physician, hibbly. And then I had a second in my mind where, because I could have been like, look, you're calling me at 3:30. This is unacceptable. This is unsat. You lost your mind, right? Marine Corps.
You out your mind?
Right? And so instead, I was like, it's 3:30 in the morning, right? So I'm going to take an assumption that you're having some real stress about something right now, and it's an important phone call.
Cool.
No matter what time it is.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna so we're gonna have this conversation, and this is like me out of wake up, which is typically I'd be like go crazy, and then he told me this and about basically said like, look, we don't have internet and I can't get internet until September, but I put my name on the line, and this is the second biggest medical device company on the planet, and if you can't do it on the 13th, then I'm done. I'm walking away. Everything closes. We're done. And I was like, thank you very much for being honest. But you know how many people lack that? I was like, it's good to have
taking them off the ledge a little bit.
Take them off the ledge. And I said, but like I said, whether we end up going forward with you on the 13th is good to know where you stand. And I said, I appreciate that. But next time, could you call me at 7 and tell me that? So like you tell them, but at the same, so it's like you got to be able to manage those relationships, not flip out of people, but at the same time be a Marine and
also
know
manage yourself first,
and know that you can also stand up for yourself.
Yes.
So it's like in between. Don't become super submissive and think that you need, like what you said, which we all do in the beginning, is like, oh, I'm just going to be calm and just no. Be yourself. Embrace that part of you that's a Marine, that's that hard charger, because that's good. Awareness. Just be aware when it's acceptable and when it's not.
That's amazing. And this concludes another edition of Vetting America.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you, Erik. This was a great conversation. You're going to come back on. I'm going to follow you, obviously, keep watching you, watch what you guys are doing and everything, because you're doing some amazing things. I want to thank Erik for coming on the show. I want to thank Chris Chrismistos of podfest.us, Anthony Kovic of the Tampa Post, Richard Mack for allowing us to be in this space today, the Attic Cafe, downtown Tampa. If you are a veteran and you feel that you're stuck, you feel that you've got as far as you can on your own and you just don't know where to go, hit me up. I have a Calendly page. I'll be posting a link. We'll have a 15-30 minute conversation. We'll get you on the right track. You can find me on IG, adam.t.c, Adam T. Cummings on Facebook, adamtraviscummings@gmail.com. Just get in touch with me. I'll point you in the right direction. I'll connect you with amazing veterans like him, and we'll get you what you need. And I just want to thank you again one more time. Again. An amazing episode, beautiful day, downtown Tampa. I love this place.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.